unfortunately, whenever we seem to talk about the Blackhawks here on the Sports Cubicle, it's never about what's going on the ice. It seems to be a lot of nonsense going on in the highest ends of this front office. And once again, the Blackhawks are on the main topic of Sports Cubicle heading into Super Bowl weekend. The thing that can outshine Tom Brady's retirement is Brian Flores and the Chicago Blackhawks Kyle Beach situation, this lawsuit, this sexual allegation case that has been going on. And if you haven't heard what was said during a town hall by the Chicago Blackhawks as Rocky Wirtz answered a question, and this was by Mark Lazarus from The Athletic and Phil Thompson of the Chicago Tribune. And it's, to me, a very important subject matter because just like anything else when it comes to criminal acts and people saying that they're going to take care of their own, take care of the problem. And then when you hear this reaction, not just the answer, but the vitriol that was given to the questions and the people giving it, I think it goes to show that there is something to worry about. So here is Rocky Wirtz answering two questions from Mark Lazarus and Phil Thompson here on the Sports Cubicle. It's Devin Tingle, Paul Chivari, Dan Marver, and myself, Mike Mercado.
Back also, and I think much of what happened to Kyle Beach stemmed from a power imbalance between a coach and a player and the powerlessness of a player in that situation. So what are the Blackhawks doing? What have the Blackhawks done? What will the Blackhawks do to empower a player in a similar situation to make sure that doesn't happen again?
I'm going to answer the question at the end. I think the report speaks for itself. The people that were involved are no longer here. We're not looking back at 2010. We're looking forward. And we're not going to talk about 2010. I know, and I'm not either. And we're not going to talk about what happened. We're moving forward. That is my answer. Now, what's your next question?
I can pick up to what we are doing today. And I think
no, I don't know. That's none of your business. That's none of your business. What we're going to do today is our business. I don't think it's any of your business.
How is it not my business?
Because I don't think it's any of your business. You don't work for the company. If someone in the company asks that question, we'll answer it. And I think you should get on to the next subject. We're not going to talk about Kyle Beach. We're not going to talk about anything that happened. Now we're moving on. What more do I have to say? You want to keep asking the same question? You hear the same answer? Okay, ask the next question.
You said enough right there.
Okay.
A little mystified here because during the Jenner and Block briefing, you guys talked about a change in culture and transparency and demonstrating the new culture and values that are going to protect players and protect the organization in the future. And it seems like the second that we ask a question about that, it's met with resistance. So I'm going to ask it again.
I answered it.
No, I don't.
I answered it, and I told you to get off the subject.
You didn't tell me.
We're not going to bring up the report.
No,
you read it.
We're not asking about the report. We're
I know
asking
you're talking about what the report
new,
was talking about, and I told you we're moving on. Now,
we're
I don't like these. I think you're out of line to ask this line of questions. Why don't you ask about something else? Why don't you ask about the GM?
Okay, I will ask.
Why don't you do something else?
Okay, I
Why
will
do you
ask
bring up
about
old business?
Some of the season ticket holders that I've talked to said that they're having trouble maintaining value on their resale because, you know, a lot of people.
Is that a fact? I didn't realize you're in our ticket department.
Okay. What I'm saying is,
come on. Let's talk about all the negative stuff. When I talk about your paper and what the sports page looks like, should I do that?
No, these are dedicated.
And you can't even get our elite scores?
Rocky, can I finish my question? They say they want to hold on because they value the Blackhawks, but they wanted to defray some of the costs. You've seen that attendance has been dipping. I want to ask why you think it's dipping and what can they do to maintain their value so when they renew a package, they can defray some of their costs. That's a fair question.
Yes, it is. So Jamie can answer that.
So I truly believe no matter how many transcripts you read, no matter how many times we speak about the Blackhawks, they were on the TNT halftime show. That owner who told us when his father died that he didn't like his dad, especially a lot of the practices, gave that answer. I'm sorry, Rocky, you don't get to decide when this story is done. This is a sexual assault case that was under your regime. So, Paul, when you hear that, what do you think?
I think that the Blackhawks haven't addressed the problem at all. I think they really want to sweep this under the rug and hope that it goes away. But it tells me that if the situation happened again, the Blackhawks still wouldn't know what to do in that situation. And it also leads me to believe, and this is my worry when I first heard the story, a few months ago, of, how much did the Wirtz family know? And while this doesn't really give us a clue one way or the other, it really leads me to believe that this was going to be a thorn in his side for the longest time. And instead of addressing the problem and trying to correct the problem, he just wants the problem to disappear on its own. And it's not a good organization. And this is a family that has a habit of really treating more than just the fans poorly. And, here's two reporters that cover the team quite often. These aren't new guys to the Blackhawks locker room. And it's a fair question. They weren't asking about 2010. They're asking about 2022. And where is the transparency? What is this organization doing to try and prevent that power imbalance from being exploited by one of their personnel? But it's an organization that really has a history of being a good old boys club. And, they gave a letter of recommendation to the aggressor in this situation. So, it's not a good look. I don't know what the purpose of the town hall was, but if it was to make themselves look more transparent and improve their situation and create better relations with their fans in the hockey community, I think they set themselves several steps backwards. And I don't know how you recover from that other than me personally as a fan. I'd like to see the Wirtz family sell the team.
Paulie, you bring up so many good points, and we'll get to the selling of the team maybe either in this conversation or down the road. But you as a parent, and we'll throw it to Devin in a second, but you as a parent, we saw Wayne Gretzky talk about it in the halftime show that parents would be worried that that's their son, that you can't trust essentially the Chicago Blackhawks. And this was an organization when they were winning all those Stanley Cups, Marian Hossa and Patrick Kane, Jonathan Tates, Duncan Keith. They were the legends of the sport of their era. And at a time when Sidney Crosby and Alexander Ovechkin were the talk of the town. And here we are now. You've seen the entire process. You and I, as long as we've known each other, the Blackhawks have been great, this regime of them. And then knowing now what we know about John McDonough, and you raised the best question of when did they know it? How much did they know? Did you think, not only how disappointed are you on them, but did you think that the fall from grace would be this dramatic? And while they're falling, they find a way to find a new low. And I don't even know if it's the entire Wirtz family, the entire board, but specifically Rocky. Did you think when he brought this team back on television that we would be here in 2022?
It's hard because, it's such the Kyle Beach situation doesn't seem like it's something that happens that often at that type of level. You'd think that a professional sports organization that's very, very much in the spotlight would be very quick to snuff out these types of situations. And I know that these situations happen at various levels, and especially the more amateur you get, or semi-professional or college or whatever, you're going to find this more than I think a professional sports team in a major force sport. It's just troublesome, in general. But yeah, if I had kids that worked in that organization, even if they were a video editor or something along those lines, they don't even have to be a hockey player. I would tell them to reconsider, working for, who they work for. But, of course it would be up to them, what they see in the workplace. I think, people can usually kind of get a feel for the atmosphere, the culture, and, try and find their own transparency if the company's not providing that transparency. So, yeah, it's not good. I liked that Rocky Wirtz wasn't his father, Bill Wirtz, in terms of trying to modernize the team when Bill Wirtz died back in 2007. And I think in some ways, Rocky modernized there, but if I remember correctly, in this town hall, this specific moment, that question was directed towards Danny Wirtz, who's the CEO, and that's the new generation of the Wirtz family. And Rocky wouldn't even let him, answer the question. And, maybe Danny Wirtz, had something, relevant to say about how they're trying to improve the situation. I think compared to what we heard, I at least would have accepted, hey, we haven't come up with something yet, but we're working on something. And gosh, we contracted consultants to help us figure out the right way to go about this. But I didn't hear any of that. I heard somebody is responsible for something, and instead of accepting the blame or the ownership or being accountable, they just wanted to kick it off to the side and hope that no one noticed. And that feels very old school. That feels very, apple not far from the tree when it comes to Rocky Wirtz and Bill Wirtz. And I'm hoping that maybe Danny Wirtz has a little bit more media savvy to protect this organization and its people going forward.
Thank you, Paulie, being open and honest as a father and, of course, a lover of all sports. And here in Chicago, make sure you guys are checking them out on the Baseball Weekend Journal. Our local and national expert here on the Sports Cubicle, our awesome co-host, Paul Chivari. Dev, this is something that you and I have been talking about. We've been talking about here on the Sports Cubicle, all four of us. You heard the questions by Mark Lazarus and by Phil Thompson. You heard the response by Rocky Wirtz. And then you kind of see the fall off from it. Where are you at with the Chicago Blackhawks after this town hall meeting?
I think it's kind of funny where Rocky's like, oh, let's only focus on the negative. What positives are there with this team? I went to the game Wednesday. It was like a 2019 White Sox game. So you're not selling tickets. The team's playing like dog doo-doo. And you got this Kyle Beach thing going on here. Please, Rocky, tell me, what are the positives they're even supposed to ask you to start, really? And again, it's like you can't decide this is done. You can't brush this under the rug. And I've seen Rocky Wirtz interviews throughout the years. This is very out of character for him, as we kind of see him as always the fun, loving, cracking a joke. Even when it was a bad issue, he found a way to kind of make you feel safe and calm, like he cared. This strikes me as, okay, either A, Rocky Wirtz is sick of hearing about this because he's so disgusted with it and like upset that it happened, he's done. Or B, Rocky Wirtz knew way more than he did, and he's scared what that something's going to come out and get to him here. And it's a 50-50 shot here. And I hate to say I'm leaning more towards the second one here. I got a feeling Rocky Wirtz knew more than he was doing, but it was all about winning those Stanley Cups and selling those tickets and selling those T-shirts and selling those jerseys and getting people in here and Blackhawks everywhere. I'm not my dad. This team means something to me. It's like, yeah, but your players, unless their names are Patrick Kane, Jonathan Taser, Marion Hossa, Duncan Keith, the other guys, they don't mean jack crap to you. And I'm trying not to curse right here because I'm that ticked off right now. But I got to say, this is something different here from what we're seeing, a whole new side of Rocky Wirtz here. And if I was Rocky, I would be like, okay, I'm not doing a press conference. Actually, no, if I was Rocky, I would be, here's the thing. I'm doing one myself. You can ask questions afterwards, but give me like an hour just to explain everything. But I don't see Rocky Wirtz doing that because I think Rocky Wirtz knows he's this close to slipping up.
You know, it's interesting. If you're listening to us here on the Sports Cubicle on WCPT 820 AM, we appreciate you joining us. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Sports Cubicle TV. It's the one and only Devin Tingle. It's, of course, Paul Chivari, the marvelous one. Dan Marver will join us in a little while. And, of course, I'm Mike Mercado. What bothers me, and you could hear in our voices, you hear the disappointment and almost just the sheer tiredness in the soul of seeing some of the stuff from Paul. You've seen the aggravation from Devin, and I think you can hear in my voice that I'm angry. And the reason I'm angry is because we're not talking about cheating in a sport. We're not talking about losing a big game. We're talking about somebody being assaulted. We're talking about a cover-up. And it's the theme of this episode, right? While we should be celebrating the big game and the retirement of the GOATs and having Paul just rail on Major League Baseball for still not getting a deal done. Instead, what we're talking about is power dynamics and people in charge that are putting people under them that they're supposed to take care of, that they're supposed to lead in bad positions. And it happens all over in sports. And it doesn't matter if you're a girl or a boy, a man or a woman, in the highest level or the lowest level. And when you hear the vitriol, the anger out of Rocky on, in my opinion, softball questions. Paulie, you brought it up, the town hall meeting. They weren't getting a gotcha interview. This wasn't something to try to, frame Rocky in a bad position. This was a softball question. What are you doing to keep your people safe? And that was the reaction. Trust what people's first reaction are. Trust what people's first words are. I don't care what that statement said. He didn't write that statement. A team of lawyers did for the Chicago Blackhawks. So I trust what he initially said in the heat of the moment when his true intentions were there. Now, as we kind of wind up this episode, we've got a lot of stuff to talk about. It's a jam-packed edition. It should be one of our favorite episodes of the year, but we got to deal with nonsense like this. We'll just do a quick roundup of it. Paulie, you brought it up earlier. You've heard the discussion. You feel it in your soul. You feel it in the show. We've done it forever now. But what do you think this team is going to do? I don't think Rocky can sell it. I don't think they could force him to sell it. But do you go to a game as a fan knowing this reaction now, knowing the reclamation project that they were doing hasn't gone how it seems just off of optics? Where are you at when it comes to the future of this organization with its fandom?
Well, as far as being a fan going to games, I wouldn't go to a Blackhawks game until Dollar Bill passed away, and then I did go to a game, and then after that they got good, and I got priced out of going to games. So yeah, while the price is right for me to come back and see them, I'm just disgusted as a fan. I'm not a Blackhawks fan anymore. I think it's great that we have an Original Six hockey franchise, in this great city, but I think their ownership has just really run it into the ground. And, I can't celebrate the 2010 Stanley Cup. In the moment, it gave me so many great emotions as a fan to finally see them win one in half a century, and then them to win one of three. But to know now that first one is, heavily tainted, where the organization basically, without coming out and saying it, but by their actions, have said that winning a championship is more important than the health and safety of our players and our people. I can't sit there and enjoy it, and I can't support it. And if I was to predict what is the Wirtz family going to do from here, well, I would hope that they would take this as a learning moment. I mean, I'm pretty sure that after that town hall, they realized how terrible that looked, in a public relations standpoint. So I would hope that there would be some sort of change. But based off the track record of this organization, I'm not going to hold my breath. I think it was clear in what Rocky Wirtz was saying is that he wants this to be over with. And I think drawing any attention to it is not what he intends to do.
Dev, where are you at with the fandom? You went to a game. This is now in a different reality. Where are you with the Chicago Blackhawks? Where are you at with the Wirtz family? How do you think this all plays out in the diehards of Chi-Town?
Well, to start, I went to this Blackhawks game for free, and the guy who gave me the ticket, he also got them for free. They are desperately trying to get people in here. Personally, I'm gonna do what Paul Chivari would say, a hot take here. I don't think they should sell the team. I think the NHL should find the Wirtz family up the ass for as much as they can here, and you're under investigation until you win your next Stanley Cup. With how that team's playing, that might be another half century at the rate we're going here. Definitely at the point right now, I'm like, the Black, Rocky, you fired everyone, but it's clear that there were words in 2010. You want to tell me in 2010 you didn't even have the slightest idea this was happening? No, Rocky Wirtz made his bed. I think it's time to lay in it. I think you need to get fined by the NFL. I think every game you play, you need to be under investigation. I want Rocky Wirtz going to the bathroom with the security guard standing behind him just to make, I'm going a little dramatic about it. This is the thing right now. It's I want these Blackhawks to, suffer, so to speak. As a fan of the city of Chicago and a fan of hockey here, it's really hard to cheer for this team. They scored one goal and the crowd lost their mind. I'm like, you guys are already down 3-0. Why are we celebrating a team playing like garbage here? So, Rocky, there's no positives to talk about here. And guess what? This is mostly on you at this point. Yes, there are other people here, but you knew, you still know. And yeah, I get it. You want it to be over. And I'm sure Kyle Beach wanted it to be over the moment it effing started. But you don't seem to care about that. You don't care about your players unless they're going to draw money to you. You don't care about a practice squad guy. So no, Rocky, F you, lay in your bed. I hope you lose so much damn money that your head spins so much tonight that Satan tears up that contract you signed with your dad at first so he can sleep tonight. I'm good.
Well, with that, we hope that you are all good with the rest of the episode because we promise the fun is coming. We are going to talk about the big game the rest of the way. It is the Bengals and it is the Rams. It is Burrow. It is Stafford. We're going to get to all that. But we had to talk about this because it's important stuff. And there's no other people I'd want to work this out with than my amazing friends and co-hosts, the one and only Devin Tingle, of course, the fantastic Baseball Weekend Journals, Paul Chivari, our own Paul Chivari, the marvelous one, Dan Marver, a little later on the show. I'm Mike Mercado.